the win-win outcomes of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, providing cheaper transport, and leveraging our large local and regional motorcycle market to build an electric motor vehicle industry. Motorcycles comprise the fastest growing form of transport in many countries. This fact has serious implications for climate change and air quality. Our continent now faces a tremendous CO2 emissions challenge owing to its huge two-wheeler internal combustion engine powered fleet. In many African countries, the air has a particle percentage that is well above the WHO recommendations. Aging fleets and unsustainable technologies are to blame for this big hazard. Here in Kenya, 2- and 3-wheeler vehicles comprise the largest share of our national fleet at 67%. Our cities and urban areas are in danger of turning into heavily polluted and unhealthy places, placing millions of enterprising people at great risk. It has been clear for some time now that something must be done about this. And today, we're doing it. I repeat, today, we are doing something about it. The adoption of electric mobility is a high priority intervention to address the challenges of pollution, adverse health effects, and fuel costs, which raise the cost of living. Successful transition of e-mobility requires a fundamental reconfiguration of our transportation systems through electrification and the provision of every necessary service and infrastructures throughout the ecosystem. Fortunately, Kenya is well ahead in laying down the foundations of this shift. We are a global leader in the production of clean, green energy. Over 90% of the power in our national grid is generated from renewable sources, and there remains potential to produce much more in the future through wind, solar, and geothermal generation, taking our generation to 100% by 2030. In order to achieve these intended aims, transition to e-mobility therefore calls for intensive investment, which is best undertaken by the private sector. Accordingly, through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we have developed a compelling package of incentives to attract serious investors in e-mobility to stake their capital on opportunities in our green growth plan. The effort is bearing fruit. The commitment that I see here today speaks to the success of the package of incentives that we have put together. The big debate that informed the finance bill that is now the Finance Act, among the packages in that bill was a whole incentive package around e-mobility. We removed taxes on components that would help us put together motor vehicles that use electricity. We also removed taxes on charging infrastructure. We also removed taxes on batteries and all components for purposes of e-mobility. This is among the package that we put in our finance bill, and I am very proud that the Parliament of Kenya passed it, and we are now rolling out the benefits of that bill. Let me say this. Because of the package we have put in place, The motor vehicle you see here, it's variable. Today in Kenya, costs 200, the motorcycle here, today in Kenya, it costs anywhere between 275 and 300,000. But because of the actions we have undertaken, this motor vehicle is now going to sell, this motorcycle now is going to sell not for 270,000, but for 160,000. If you buy it cash. And I say this quite pointedly. I say this quite pointedly because this is a journey I have traveled. It's a journey I have traveled because I am probably the politician in Kenya who has had the largest number of Harambes to buy border borders for border border circles. I say that without any fear of any contradiction. That is number one. Number two, I also traversed this country to listen to what the people of Kenya wanted. Amongst the sector that spoke to us with clarity is the border sector. The circles, members, and the whole ecosystem around the border mobility. And they told us three things. Number one, they told us a motorcycle that ordinarily costs 130,000 ends up costing them 300,000. And they explained to us that there were people in that space who are doing business, and we respect tremendously what they have managed to assist us. Today, we have close to 2 million motorcycles in Kenya. And they're doing a good job, and we want to thank those who came ahead of us. But increasingly, it was becoming expensive, difficult. And that is why many people in the border sector ended up in CRBs and other places. So today, because of the policy interventions that we have put in place, because of the fiscal reliefs that we have put in place, this electric motorcycle has not only come down in terms of price from what it would cost to what it will cost now. And my expectation, and I have talked with Spyro and all the other investors in that space, that my expectation is that for the next 6 months, we will buy this motorcycle at 160,000, those who want to pay cash. But because in 6 months we expect them to assemble the motorcycle here in Kenya, that price will come down from 160,000. And again, in 12 months or thereabout, I will keep my focus on it. We want to manufacture the whole motor vehicle here in Kenya. And we expect, again, the price to come down. So that is the trajectory. That is where we are focused on. So that's number one. Number two, because of interest, many players in that space, because of many factors, exposure, many issues, were charging anywhere between 50 and 60% interest yearly. I am happy that even the people who do not have the money to pay cash, right? Now they have an opportunity to pay on credit, but they will not be paying 60%. They will be paying interest less than 10%. So this motorcycle, that is 160,000, if you pay on time, it will cost you a total of 190,000 or something below 200,000. After 3 years, that is all the money you will pay. The figure of 300,000 for a motor vehicle of 130,000 is no longer applicable. So instead, because many of the border people told me that they were being asked to pay between 400 and 500 shillings every day. Now this will cost you less than 200 shillings, maybe 100 daily. Let me tell you another good story, right, about e-mobility. The other good story about this e-mobility is